Back in your lives again. It's the Dream 3 podcast with myself, Showtime Sports Cards, and Neil, Doughboy Sports Cards 1. Neil, what is going on, man? Same old. Besides picking up your Jim Brown card.
Yeah, I just showed you that. No, we actually just closed on a deal for one of the trades we got at the National. We traded that Bowman Chrome Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. So we closed the deal to sell the 2 Mahomes cards that we got from that, which freed up some money so I could start getting a little more PC items. So I'm starting to pick up some PC items right now that are pretty cheap. And yeah, I picked up the Jim Brown patch auto, game used patch auto that I was super bullish on trying to get. And I finally landed it. I probably overpaid a little bit, but for something like that, I was like, I got to have it.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, I think one thing that I took away from the Nationals, and we kind of talked about it last time, was you kind of got me on this trend of looking for game used patch autos, because if people aren't, if you're not paying attention, there's a big difference between game used and player worn. And a lot of people fall in that trap of, yes, it's a cool patch and it's autographed, but it's not game used, and it's a lot harder to find. So,
right, a lot harder. And it means more. The piece of the game. So
I was able to pick up. It'll be coming this week. I got a Jim Kelly game used patch auto. I love watching Jim Kelly growing up, and I'm on the look for some more out there. I think, and I texted you today. One of the products that I really like looking at is 2006 National Treasures Timelines. I used to have a Jim Auto card like that.
I haven't had a chance to look at those, but if there's some sick cards in there, I'm definitely down to get some of those.
There's a couple on eBay right now. There's like some Dan Marinos, Warren Moons. Who else is out there? Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. There's a Deion Sanders out there that's pretty cool. That was like $145 that I really want to pick up.
I love Deion.
So do I. And I think, with Deion being a collegiate coach now, I think that takes off and he stays in the limelight because, that's kind of how some of the card prices are working up and down, is those people who stay, kind of relevant. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. For sure.
So we can't start off the podcast. We got to thank our sponsors just like normal. Thank Slab Savers. Get your custom slabs, protectyourslab.com. Use Dream3 to get 10% off anything you get on the website. So you got your single card slabs, you got your big 30 PSA cases.
That's right.
If you have big time cards, protect your investments. And also, if you're shipping cards, use gradedshipped.com. Got the perfect inserts for anything that you're shipping, because we can't trust the post office. They will crush and destroy boxes
on purpose.
So use Dream15, get 15% off. I know if you buy anything for myself on eBay, you're going to get this box if it's a slab or if it's a high-end card, and I'll write everything in here just to let you know. You can reuse the box. You can get your discount. Do it. We don't make any money off of it. We're just good friends with the people, and we thank them for sending us some stuff so we can send it to you guys when you buy.
Dustin and Barry are great people. So
Dustin's great. Everybody got to thank Graded Ship. Got to thank Protect Your Slabs, Slab Savers. Follow them on Instagram. Follow them on Twitter. Follow them on Facebook. Whatever you can. Support the people that support us. So let's jump right into it today. Obviously, you see there's no Dylan, but that's okay. We got a great guest today. An NFL insider for the Washington Redskins, reporter for also the New Orleans Saints. He's an NHRA insider / reporter, writer, podcast. He's got ghost casts. He's on so many different things. He's world renowned almost, but now he's going to be up on our stuff. So he's going to be world renowned. So I want to welcome to our Dream 3 podcast, our man, Dujunnea Bland. D, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Having a good time and just dying for some football.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
It was fun.
Ready.
I'm so excited for football, and obviously, kind of like that's why we brought you on. But first, I'm going to give you a few minutes. I want you to kind of explain, especially to our newer followers or people who don't know you or follow you. Please, kind of like give out your story. Let the people know a little bit about your background.
Well, I got started just doing a normal show on YouTube. It was called the let's see if I can remember the name. Straight Shooting Sports Talk. So I did that for a while. We just did it, did some highlights for games and NFL and certain things that, grind my gears. I was able to get discovered by Lake Lewis, our CEO here at Sports Journey, and just kind of rolled on from there. Covered the Washington football team for a long period of time. Started picking up some little things and kind of doing some things with the NFL. Just stumbled on because I tweeted about NHRA. Was able to get in. Scott gave me an opportunity, came to Gainesville, and it was all she wrote ever since. That's really my passion. I love blast doing what we do.
No, that's awesome. And like I said earlier to Neil, you and me have been, close, sharing information for a long time, talking football. I've been on your show a couple times. Anytime we can sit down and not just talk drag racing, we're talking football, you can see where our passions are. So we're
like
big
Christmas
football
right
house
now.
in here. Yeah, it's Christmas. And, we were saying on last week's podcast, like football makes you feel better.
It does.
Physically, mentally, and emotionally. Now, not playing anymore, I feel physically better because I'm not slamming my head into people anymore. But physically, football's back. We got the preseason. We had the Hall of Fame game last weekend. As to be expected, those guys had 5 days to get ready. Not the greatest of football, but football is still football. D, let me get your thoughts. You had the Steelers and the Cowboys, 5 days to prepare. Kind of, we know it was sloppy football, but did you see anything that you could take away from it?
Yeah, you got different guys that, you want to look at. I was really kind of looking at the trenches, especially for you're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers and even for the Dallas Cowboys, who's going to provide them with that second leg or those guys that can come in case of an injury. We know it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when it comes to injuries. So just looking for those types of guys. I saw Wilson out there. It's a they have a three-headed monster over there in Dallas, but it's not just about those three guys. Someone's going to have to emerge to spell and do different things to create openings and to give them other looks, because people pick up on stuff like that as the season goes on. So they're going to have to find guys that can step up and be able to contribute.
Neil, what you watched the game kind of like? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, D-Man, what do you think of Dak Prescott?
I thought Dak has done a good job with what he's been given. I will say that Jason Garrett did not play to his strengths early on and did not allow him to shine. I thought he had some glimmers there, but I still don't think he's with the right coach. I mean, come on. You saw the ending in Green Bay for McCarthy. He comes here and the amount of coaching gaffes that he's made. And again, I believe is part of the reason why Dak got hurt, is the reason why he's where he's at. But I think he can ball. I always thought he could ball. It's
Top
just
5 quarterback this year?
What he does best.
Top 5 quarterback this year?
I don't know. There's a lot of good quarterbacks coming up.
Top 10? Can you give me top 10?
I'll give you top 10 if their defense can ball. It can't be all on his back this year. And I think that's what's been the problem, is that they've had to go into a pass-happy type of offense most of the time because, basically Zeke is pounding his head up guys' butts. There's no holes. So if they can go back to where he's breaking runs open and really pounding the defense, now things will start opening up, because let's not lie, he's got the weapons on the outside.
Oh, 100%.
So
I don't know. I'm huge on Dak Prescott this year.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Me and Caleb have talked about that a lot. So
yeah, I have nothing against Dak. I think he's a good quarterback. Don't think he's great. He does have the weapons around him, minus a subpar defense, I believe. But they tried to fix that in the draft, and we'll see. I mean, you got Zeke, as long as he can stay healthy also, and Amari Cooper can catch some footballs. I mean, you need a number 2 and a number 3 type wide receiver, but we'll see what Dak does. I mean, that conference
I'll tell you what, though.
Trash.
Did you watch Micah Parsons?
Man,
that guy is a bad dude. He is a bad dude.
He moves, and he tackles very well.
Yes.
He does.
Yeah. That is probably the anchor that they've been missing for, I don't know, forever.
It's scary to see. Yeah. It's scary to see the athleticism that kids keep coming into the sport with. Like, a couple of years ago, like, let me think, when I think Penn State linebackers, I think of Paul Leslie, who got drafted by the Bills. You think of, some major hitters, but, the athleticism just they just keep evolving.
Right. They're like big tight ends / wide receivers with that speed that they have.
That can run 4.4.
Yeah, it's insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, 3 of the top linebackers that were talked about had sub 4 40s.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Another thing that
I like their secondary though.
Another thing that I pulled away from the Hall of Fame game was I really like on the Steelers Najee Harris. Like you watch him get the ball. Najee Harris, it takes the team to bring him down. Like he is a workhorse back.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Pittsburgh needs. They lose James Conner to the Cardinals. You don't really have a premier running back. They've had Samuels, Connor. Who else have they had that? Like they've had like a handful of running backs over the last few. Yeah, but I think Najee Harris, premier back, probably stays healthy. Knock on wood. All running backs. He's the next superstar.
Yeah, he can pound the rock. Definitely pound the rock. And they just got to make holes for him. That's the whole thing. He's a mean runner. It should be easy.
He may not be 6'4", 250, and his name's Derrick Henry, but Najee Harris can run the ball. That's for sure.
Also, I totally forgot because it's kind of a lost thing in my mind now, but the Cowboys are this year's Hard Knock team. Now, at the beginning, I find myself before each season going back and watching the original Hard Knocks, with the Ravens, with, the Bengals, with, the early stuff. D, in your opinion, has Hard Knocks been played out? Do they need to come up with something new and something fresh, or is it still interesting to you to see this behind the scenes look, even though it seems to be the same handful of teams over and over?
It doesn't interest me at all. I mean, when it was early, it was fresh, something new. Now I don't see how fans can be impressed with it. It's not very impressive. It's not innovative. It's the same old thing. And to be quite honest with you, it seems like to me that they would take advantage of the storylines. And the Cowboys are not a storyline. They've been 26 years of trash. No one wants to talk about that. Okay. There's other teams out there that have gone out in the draft and done some work to put themselves. I would think the Raiders would be a good topic to talk about. Look at the Chargers. They have a young quarterback, a young football team ready to go. Cardinals would be one. Even the Bengals at this point, I'm not a huge Zach Taylor fan as a coach, but when you look at what they have, the potential, Browns, the potential, but we're going with the old generic, same old stuff. It would even be like putting the Washington football team on there. It's just the same old. Give us something new, intriguing. Push a storyline with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree. And some of the hard thing is there's so many teams that people want, and then the teams will say yes or no. Well, I feel like this should be an NFL decision. Be like, well, you don't want your cameras in here? I'm sorry. Well, this is going to be part of the decision. Let's say the Patriots or the Colts or a top tier teams. Because when you think of Hard Knocks, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get a bottom feeding team who's their biggest thing is John Gruden's the head coach, Antonio Brown's coming in, Jerry Jones wants to be on TV more. You're not getting the insides and outs of Bill Belichick, even though how interesting or how boring that might be. It's still you kind of want to see how the guy works and how the inside of their building works.
Right.
But I'm thinking of trash seasons. I think of the Falcons. Like there was no storyline there besides like Julio Jones coming back off of injury, shocker, or that who was the coach? Was it not Marty Smith? It was
Dan Quinn.
No, it was before Dan Quinn. White hair.
Oh gosh, why can't I spit out his name and I know exactly what you're talking about? He wears glasses.
Yeah. Terrible. Just a terrible season.
Yeah, that was awful.
There's nothing better than the first season with Siragusa, Shannon Sharp, Ray Lewis. like that is like how football camp is. And those are great episodes.
They are.
So also with this weekend, you had the Hall of Fame induction. You had some great play. You had Peyton Manning. Well, you had last year's class and this year's class in a 2-night thing, which I thought was very, very well done. I hated it that they moved the speeches to 6 minutes. You only had 6 minutes. Thanks, Ray Lewis, for taking like 45 minutes on a speech. But what did you expect? So, I thought. I haven't listened to all the speeches yet, but I thought Edgerrin had a great speech. Obviously, Peyton had a great speech. John Lynch was pretty good. Looking towards next year on the modern players, who do you think is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer if there is going to be any in the modern players next year? You're looking at like Andre Johnson, Steve Smith Sr.,
Steve Smith gonna get shoe in because he works for NFL Network and they see him all the time. But he deserves it, in my opinion. But
he's a grinder.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard, but for him and his size and what he did as a player in his size, I think outweighs all the big guys who, the Megatron-like guys who made big plays and they had the girth. He was just killing folks, and he's small, but a big attitude.
Yeah. A big attitude.
Anquan Bolden, Hall of Famer or no?
Not if you got to pick between, if you're going to add him in, then yeah. But I mean, if you got to pick him over Steve Smith, no.
It's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Very Good.
That's right. I say no.
I'll be honest. The only thing I remember of Anquan Bolden was him getting smoked in the end zone and getting knocked unconscious.
Yes.
That's all I remember.
That's right.
That's all I remember. He was a good receiver, but he was, to me, it's my opinion, he was not a Hall of Fame receiver.
No.
True.
Even Art Monk, he reminds me of Art Monk, but even a tier down from him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at least you remember Art Monk for things. He was shorthanded. If it was 3rd down and 7, you were going to get that 8 yards for a first down because you could count on him. Anquan, I don't think of him that way. He reminds me of that, but he doesn't stick out for that.
I agree. A couple of guys who could be on the first team list. DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware is entering his 5th year and could be first ballot Hall of Fame.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I don't think it's dude bald. I mean, the stuff he could do, and I mean, it wasn't like anything special. He just was a specimen and did what he did well. I mean, he kind of reminded me, I guess, like of a different version of a Lawrence Taylor, the way he just kind of bullied people around, was able to spin around, use those swim moves to get around guys, but he made it look easy, man.
And another one that I feel that should be a first ballot Hall of Famer is Devin Hester. No one changed the game of special teams better than Devin Hester. I mean, you had Dante Hall before then, but Dante Hall was not Devin Hester. Dante Hall was run back and forth, run around. Devin Hester was straight line speed. See you later. So
typical returner.
Exactly. Like the premier, when you think of kick returners, you think of Devin Hester.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I don't think anybody's ever been scared of special teams until Devin Hester came into the league. Like that's
and
how
I watched
he
Brian
just
Mitchell as a returner, and I agree with you on that.
he could have scored 8 times on any given day, and you
Yeah.
really thought he was going to do it too.
Yeah.
So a couple of the guys who are on the second year list who didn't get in this year but have a chance next year to be finalists: Leroy Butler, Torrey Holt, Sam Mills, Zach Thomas, Reggie Wayne. If you could pick 2 out of those, who's getting in?
Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne,
Torrey Holt because you're a homer.
and Reggie Wayne because
You're a homer.
yeah. Well, I mean,
I say Sam Mills be my first. Second, man, I'd have to say Reggie over Torrey though.
I sadly would agree, and I'm a Rams fan, so
I would say Reggie. I would say Reggie Wayne and Zach Thomas.
I like Zach Thomas.
I'd like Zach Thomas, but not over Sam.
Over Sam Mills?
Yeah, not over Sam Mills.
To me, when I think of defenses in the mid 2000s, especially in the AFC, name me premier linebackers that you can remember.
Yeah.
Mid 2000s, late 90s. Zach Thomas,
Derek Brooks.
Yeah, Derek Brooks there.
Hall of
Ray
Famer.
Lewis.
Ray
True.
Lewis.
But still though, over Sam Mills? I mean, I get it. I know what you're saying, but still.
Stats don't. I gotta look at the stats to make a real decision there. But that's kind of like that's kind of like the Chad Johnson, Terrell Owens. There's a good question for you. Chad Johnson ever be a Hall of Famer?
I'm gonna sadly say no.
He's like borderline. He's like the top echelon of great, but not Hall of Fame.
But do you remember him for his stats or for his antics?
Both. More his antics though.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that more his antics.
Yeah,
but we can say that, but we can also say the same thing about T.O. Like you remember him from
T.O. produced though.
Yeah, there's several plays. There's several things I can remember at T.O. that were big time.
T.O. carried that Philly team to a Super Bowl.
Yep,
carried him. I mean, he carried him
on a broken leg.
Yeah,
yes,
on a
broken leg.
While homeboy throwing up in the huddle.
Yeah.
He also saved Jeff Garcia's ass in the NFC Championship game.
Yep.
He did.
So, can you say that even, let's say, did T.O. have the same caliber of players around him as Chad Johnson?
No.
Or the other way around? No. Chad Johnson. Did Chad Johnson have a shot with Cincinnati all those years?
No. I mean, you had Hashim Mazzulli as one of your wide receivers, right? No disrespect. Yeah. He ain't Hall of Fame.
Oh no.
I mean, think about it like this. I mean, Steve Smith really didn't have great quarterbacks. I mean, that's the same thing as Cincinnati is the Bengals.
4 people around him.
Steve Smith, I take Steve Smith all day over Chad Johnson.
Mm-hmm. My long shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Steve Smith, I think I'd take Steve Smith in anything over Chad Johnson in a fight,
trash
in a game
talk,
of basketball,
100%.
Trash talking. Like Steve Smith, like I saw him at the combine one year that year that they let fans in, and got to see like he's 5 foot nothing, but the most intimidating looking dude, and he's standing next to Willie McGinnis, who looks like a Mack truck. And it's just like, how are people scared? And then you just like, he turns and looks at you wearing like a suit, but with a flat bill hat. And you're like, oh my God. Like,
oh, hey, here's 3 more Hall of Fame linebackers. Okay. Junior Seau, Willie McGinnis, Teddy Bruschi in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's true.
See, there's more out there. We just got to get the brain moving a little bit.
Yeah, got to get the brain moving.
But you remember Zach Thomas leading. Can you think of anybody else on that Dolphins team besides Ricky Williams.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah,
Ricky Williams, Zach Thomas, OJ McDuffie,
a little bit of Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie Brown, and barely.
Ricky Williams, Ronnie Brown was fun to watch.
It was fun to watch. Obviously, Ricky,
Ricky is living the happiest life that anybody could have. He is perfectly content living in his house in the middle of nowhere.
We saw it at the Nationals, man. He's still signing autographs like a mug, man. You see his stuff everywhere.
Oh, at the National, I found some guy wasn't selling it. I tried to buy it from him. It was a game-used patch auto, and it had like the Dolphins logo in it. It was the sickest thing ever. With those colors, it was the sickest card I've ever seen.
Well, I had before, and I shouldn't have sold it. I had an out of 10 Edgerrin James, Ricky Williams dual auto. I shouldn't have sold it. I shouldn't have sold it, but whatever. You live and you learn. So, we're looking forward to. We got 3 more weeks of preseason. Now you have the majority of teams in here, and you start looking at storylines. And I think, from my personal perspective, you have the biggest storyline: Carson Wentz. He's going to be out for a hot second. Colts got to figure out who their quarterback is. The sounds from camp is Jacob Eason is starting to struggle, where Sam Ehlinger is starting to pick up. This kind of worries me, but we're going to find out in the first preseason game. Jacob Eason has got to sit behind Phillip Rivers and learn for a year. We're going to find out if the Colts need to bring somebody in. If the Colts have to bring somebody in, who do you think would be on that list? Are you thinking of Nick Foles? Are you thinking of Gardner Minshew? Are you thinking?
I would go with Gardner before Nick Foles. I mean, Lightning, I think he's burned that candle out. I mean, seriously. Gardner is a guy who I think has a lot of talent. It's just unfortunate that you got new leadership in there now, and they're going to go in the direction that they're going to go in. I don't know if he really has a fair shot in that. The Colts would be a good spot. It would definitely help them out with the Colts running game. They do have playmakers at wide receiver. He has mobility. You worry about his consistency, but at that point, I mean, he's kind of, one of the better quarterbacks to go with if you're looking for a long-term solution. Because I mean, it's not good if you know what they say about quarterbacks. You know what I mean? If you got 2, you don't have none. So you kind of go between 2 guys. Somebody needs to make a move quick and show that they're capable of running this team, and they have to make that decision quickly going into the season, or they're really in a division. I think that's the Titans to lose. They have an opportunity. Just have to make sure you make the right decision now as who or what you're going to do at quarterback.
You think? Have you heard about them trying to bring in Marcus Mariota to the Colts?
I heard a rumor. I don't think Gruden will. I don't think it works because he's a more of a running quarterback than. Not saying Carson doesn't run, but Carson's not a run first type guy. Maybe back when he first got into the league, he was, but after the first injury, I don't think he's a run type first guy. Mariota showed, 1 week of good flash. I don't think he's worth it. If anything else, the Bears want to get rid of Nick Foles and his contract, and they'll get rid of him cheap. Gardner Minshew, to me,
Foles is probably a good pickup. You can get him cheap.
You could get him cheap, but I don't want that. The Colts aren't going to do that because they don't want the media drama of Foles coming in to replace Wentz again.
Right.
So
that's definitely going to be the story.
They'll do tell you this. I tried to tell you this earlier on. Wentz ain't going to make it. He's just going to fizzle out. You might as well bring in the Super Bowl MVP to come save your season because it ain't going to be Carson Wentz.
Get your jorts and mustache ready because I'm on the Gardner Minshew train, bud. 3 running backs.
I do like Gardner.
I love it.
So let's see. Today it looks like Saquon Barkley's back at practice after an ACL injury. You know, Saquon had a pretty good rookie season. You know, unfortunately, second year got the ACL. You know, he was behind a trash, and I mean absolute dirty brown trash water offensive line of the Giants. Like, what's this guy got to do? I'm glad he's back. Hopefully he explodes and goes back to the way he looked his rookie season. But, you know, D, what are your thoughts on Saquon Barkley?
It's all going to play. It's all going to play on the offensive line and what they do. They're going to need to open up holes. He can't be like, you know, banging his head and opening and making holes. And it really, they need it because that's the only way Daniel Jones is going to be able to play to his strengths. If he has to stand in the pocket and make a throw and make the tough throws, the tape every time shows he finds a way to throw an interception. And without that running game, he's just going to be a turnover machine in the most critical times. He's going to have Rex Grossman-like moments. It's not a matter of if or when. It's just when. So I think that the offensive line is their key to everything. It's the reason why I don't really think the Giants are, you know, a viable team. Maybe because of their defense, but they don't have the same defense as Washington and other teams in that division have. I just don't see it being enough at all. But Saquon can have a good season, but if they keep down that same trend, it ain't going to be much because he's not going to have much. It's kind of like Zeke.
Yeah.
Neil, what do you think?
I mean, isn't the Cowboys' entire offensive line pretty much back this year and actually healthy? Because then they go in, they had 3 guys down last year. Their 3 starters were down, and now they got them all back.
But see, they weren't consistent enough even when they were healthy. That's my biggest problem with the Dallas line.
It's definitely not the late 2010s Dallas Cowboys offensive line. But I mean, they're still good offensive line.
Yeah, I mean they are. I mean if I had to go, you know, get an offensive line for my team, I'm not going to turn them down. I just worry about them because of the lack of the secondary for Dallas. That's where my problem is. Everybody, we talk about their front seven. We've been talking about their front seven for 20 years. They've had the talent, you know, whether it's coaching or the back end of that defense for the last 20 plus years is what's killing them. And the quarterback's been having to save the day because they're trying to outscore people. I don't see it. And as much as every time you put that offensive line in the corner and back them up against the wall, bad things happen. Zeke's not getting holes. He's fumbling the ball, and then Dak is getting hammered. And they can't allow any of that to happen if they want to keep Dak around for a long period of time. You know, I blame a lot of that on coaching and that offensive line, and that's got to get better.
Yep, that's true.
How weird, we'll kind of switch gears. Before I bring that up, Neil, get your Luka cards ready. Luka signing 5 years, $207 million supermax deal. Sell on Luka. Sell on Luka.
Can you donate me like $100,000?
Good. I mean, I'll take anything. But back
like
to
$1. I have $1.
Weirdest thing of training camp so far. You have go boy. Weirdest thing of training camp so far has to be the Deshaun Watson situation. Like,
that's awkward.
It's super awkward. Like he said he's never going to play another down for the Texans. Yet they're basically forcing him to come to practice or serve a $50,000 fine. He was at practice today, even though he has missed like the last 3 or 4 days with something undisclosed. But man, if you're in that locker room, like, what do you do? Like, this dude's here, but he says he doesn't want to be a part of the team. Like, what do you do? Like, it can't be a good, locker room morale in general.
No. This is how you lose every game this year. This is how you lose every game this year.
Hey,
trust who?
To say this. How many people in that locker room want to be in that locker room besides Deshaun Watson?
Nobody. But
Nobody wants to be there.
You look at it, a couple years ago, like the Texans were, on their way up. I mean, they were on their way to being a solidified top 10, top 5 possible team, making trades, making moves, doing this and that. And boy, the bottom has fallen out.
Yeah.
Now, you can put most of that, and I will put most of it because it's what I think is on Bill O'Brien's shoulders. I think Bill O'Brien, once he became the general manager, ran that team into the ground quickly.
Into the ground.
Quickly. But now you have.
Did he get paid money to do that? Because I don't know if someone could try to be that bad, like truly try to be that bad. He was awful.
Like he basically traded DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of Lays. Like
being nice.
a top,
like the regular Lays, not even a flavored Lays. This is the plain old Lays.
A top 3 receiver in the league, and you didn't even get a first-round pick for him?
Yeah.
My man was like, hey, how much lint you got in your pocket? Can it make a ball? If you can make a ball with that lint in your pocket, you got him.
I don't get it. And no one, JJ Watt wanted out, he can love Houston as much as he wants, just.
Let's see Green Bay doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But the problem with Green Bay is there's no ownership structure. It's just a bunch of corporate, board people, and the GM has more power than the owners. That's why I think that's why Green Bay's in the situation that it's in, is because the wrong guys are running it. It's about structure. There's no saying that, let's say Peyton Manning and the Colts. Let's say Peyton Manning, he's having the same situation. You think Jim Irsay, T.Y. Hilton's a perfect example. So T.Y. Hilton, he's a free agent this year, and he's going to leave Indianapolis 100%. I thought for sure. And I guess they're trying to get this deal done. He's got multiple offers from multiple teams, and Jim Irsay calls him. He said, hey, man, we get this deal done. He goes, oh, no, we're still off. Jim Irsay says, I'll be right back, calls Chris Ballard, deal's done, right on the dot. So when you have an owner that's invested in your team, that's willing to put the money up instead of being a board or multiple owners that have, different interests. Like, to me, when I hear like the Green Bay ownership meeting, we made, $175 million in investments. Like, I'm owning this team because I want to win. I don't care about investment. Take our investment and pay that quarterback so I can win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Whoa. Is the money really the problem, though, in Green Bay?
No.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think money is the issue. I think they just don't want to play there. Like, Aaron just doesn't want to play. Devontae Adams is on the Aaron swinging from Aaron's wiener, and he don't want to play either.
Is it because they don't want to
play?
But is it because they don't like Green Bay, or is it because they don't like the general manager and what he's done to structure the team?
Hey, I didn't like my head coach. You didn't like your head coach at high school, but we still played for him. I
had no other choice.
I didn't go and switch to Avon High School because I was going to be soft. I just played.
Well,
there's got to be a sense of pride for the community more so than the GM.
You can't. There's a rule against that, Neil.
Yeah, ain't no pride when it comes to them dollars. Ain't no pride. Every player's a business though now. Yeah. So because now the players view themselves, each individual player views themselves as a personal business. So they're gonna make the business decisions for them. I don't agree that Aaron Rodgers is a crybaby. I think Aaron Rodgers makes good points. How are you, as Green Bay Packers, with all that y'all had going on there, not listening to a guy to bring in guys that can help your team, everything's about morale and coming together, and you don't want to listen to a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer? That's like the Indianapolis Colts not listening to Peyton Manning. That's like Denver Broncos, who got Peyton, not listening to him when you brought this guy in to win a Super Bowl. So obviously You don't know everything. I mean, it's only a couple guys that come in a generation that can do those types of things for your team. Every player doesn't have that ability to say, well, I seen this guy, or I seen that guy. I think that's the guy we should take a look at. They're not that good. These are once-in-a-lifetime generational players that you're not listening to. And what exactly has Green Bay done that says they can't even take a look at what he's doing to try to make it happen? They haven't done nothing in a long, long time.
But looking back at the Green Bay team, they had Robert Tonyan, who, if I'm not mistaken, was the leader in touchdowns last year for tight ends.
And catches. And
catches. They had Devontae Adams, who was the best receiver by far last year. Right. They had 2 all-pro offensive linemen. They have a decent defense with good edge rushers. They re-signed Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, when he's healthy, is a top five running back. They put weapons around Aaron Rodgers, though. Now, I agree. I don't think they've done enough. Like, I think you're right by saying they didn't go above and beyond to make their team and make their players happy. But like, with what the talent they have, is Aaron Rodgers really the guy to be complaining right now? I mean, they put enough around him that he should be winning it. If I had that much talent sitting next to me with the Los Angeles Rams, I'd be counting another Super Bowl ring. I'm just saying. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, I think Aaron Rodgers he's got to like produce a little bit more. Like, show me a little bit more. Show me what you're worth.
What?
Hey, stats are great in the regular season, but what matters most?
So so what you're telling me is they have players around him. You're putting stock in. I'm not dissing my boy Robert Tonyan, who I went to school with, and an undrafted guy who's been cut from 2 teams that you had no idea who he was until Mercedes Lewis got hurt and Jimmy Graham left. Right. Could you tell me the last team Robert Tonyan played for before he got to
the
Green Bay Packers?
But if you have people who understand football and understand what the team needs, and Aaron Rodgers is like, hey, I want that guy on my team, and then they bring him in, and then he works out. And
so what you just said. So who makes that call? Does Aaron make that call, or does the GM make that call?
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, why is Aaron crying right now? Because he made it to 2 NFC Championship games and he can't deliver?
And he doesn't win. Let Randall Cobb go, first of all. They're kind of doing the same thing that they did in Houston. There's guys that got away that should have never got away. J.J. Watt should be retiring there. They made poor decisions and really, like, you giving guys away for nothing, leaving nothing in the cupboard. And I think that's what Aaron Rodgers is looking at. It's like, okay, man, I'm getting older. I'm giving everything to this team and doing this and that, but y'all keep bringing in people that aren't working out constantly, and I'm recommending this guy and that guy, and they're going other places and performing.
Yeah.
And you're letting go of guys that are good locker room people.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to an extent, like, there's a healthy balance of bringing in the talent that your quarterback wants, but at the same time, like, how many times can you keep doing that and then all of a sudden you're still not getting over that hump, if that makes sense? That's where I'm at. It's like, it's the same thing with Jared Goff in the Rams. You know, you had a guy who brought you to the Super Bowl, but he couldn't get over the hump. And then after that, he can't get over the hump and he can't make the correct decisions to be able to progress and get you to the next level. So it's almost like he's peaked. If that's what it is, you got to move on from that. Because there's no sense in,
Jared Goff is trash.
I know he's trash. I didn't like him the day we drafted. I didn't want any one of those quarterbacks.
Straight booty.
It is what it is. But I'm saying, like, sometimes you got to mix it up, and I think partly it's on the ownership, but I also think partly it's on, Aaron Rodgers just didn't get the job done.
Tom
Brady gets the job done. I mean, that's why we all think he's the GOAT, because he gets the job done.
Man.
Brings the wine.
I ain't go. That's hard to deny right there. When Tom Brady went into a situation where he didn't have no chemistry, had COVID the year, didn't even have the amount of practices or any type of like all season to get ready, and comes out and lights the joint up.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And he goes into Green Bay and beats Green Bay in a home game.
Yeah.
So when all those Tampa Bay players are used to 85 degrees and sunny, they go to 40-degree weather. Now it's not Green Bay in January. It's not snowy. Right. But still, he goes into Green Bay and he says, I'm just better at life than you.
Well, yeah. So let's stick in the NFC North and kind of one of the, I would say, oddball coaches of the year, I'm going to say, Dan Campbell. Like, D, what is your opinion on Dan Campbell? I remember him from Hard Knocks on the Dolphins being a crazy tight ends coach. Now this dude is an NFL head coach, and I watched the behind-the-scenes stuff of the draft. This guy reminds me of every crazy offensive line coach I've ever had, dipping, got big old things to chew in his mouth, yelling, screaming. Now you see, his players are doing push-ups and sprint and like he's talking about, biting people's kneecaps off and fighting. Like, this guy's a crazy dude, but can that work in the NFL?
Ask Mike Singletary if it works. I mean, you talking about grown men. See, this is my same thing I throw at my man in Jacksonville, coming here as a college coach. Does that stuff that you talking about grown men. We ain't talking about Pee Wee League. I'm not talking about the school up here, Valdosta High School or Lowndes County High School up here. We yelling at kids. These are grown men. Like, you tell young kids to go bite somebody's kneecap off. A grown person look at you and just laugh. Like, what is this guy on? He's all jacked up on Mountain Dew. What's going on? So I don't know if that works, man. I mean, if everything is about people buying in, of course, but I just don't. We've seen that type of ho-hum stuff before. We've seen the other end of the spectrum, the Steve Spurrier spectrum, and we've seen this before. Mike Singletary is a good example of that. Look, that thing worked for about a week or two, and guys look at this and like, this is corny as all get out.
Another example is you look at the Giants and that situation. You had the fight, and Danny Dimes ends up in the bottom of the pile. Now he has everybody running 100-yard sprints, which damn near no NFL player wants to run 100-yard sprints and doing push-ups. And you had 3 guys retire within a week after that.
Yep.
Retired.
Look, that tells you right there all you need to know. People not buying in, and grown men ain't playing kiddie games. Like, that ain't gonna fly. Yeah. It's just not, and they will turn their nose up to it quick.
Yeah, we're in the NFL. Like, one thing, Jonesy told me when he got to the NFL, like, you realize real quick that this is a business. This isn't college where, we're scrapping every day trying to fight, trying to get to the next player, stuff like this. If you fall or trip in practice, guys will beat you up, because if you land and hurt them, you're costing them money.
Yep.
So, you're not, when you think of players, yes, they're going hard. Yes, they're crazy athletes like that, but they're not looking to do that, get their ass chewed out, running to the ground, running gassers, half gassers, stuff like that. And you saw that with the Giants, like, 2 offensive linemen retired.
Yep. Like, I mean, what you want to start doing next? That little clap thing they do, breakdown, breakdown. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna start doing that now. Like, I mean, that ain't nobody doing that. That's Pee Wee stuff. These are grown men out here.
Yeah,
grown men that got sponsorships. They've got deals with Nike or whoever. They're a walking business, and you gonna have them running 100-yard sprints and 50-yard gassers? Get out of here.
Yeah, they're going to be like, you know what, I'm retiring. By retiring, I mean I'm pulling my name out of the hat. Hopefully, somebody else picks me up somewhere. you look at Joe Judge. He's got the Belichick coaching tree. He's from that. Like,
Yep.
and you look at the Belichick coaching tree over time. Like, it doesn't always pan out great. You look at Matt Patricia. Great defensive guy, terrible head coach. You look at Bill O'Brien. Now, what's he going to look like with Nick Saban this year at Alabama? That's going to be oof. To put those two guys in a room together.
What's he coaching there?
I think he's the OC.
Yeah, I believe so.
He's the OC?
He's either the OC or the quarterback's coach.
He's something over there.
He's gonna have those players. He's gonna have those players opting out. They'll be like, I'll just take my NIL contracts and I'll go to the NFL. I ain't gonna play for Bill O'Brien.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's the OC and quarterback's coach at Bama this year.
I'm not playing at Bama. Nope.
But I mean,
I wouldn't. I would Bill O'Brien there.
Nope. I'd say pass.
No,
I'm going to Georgia.
Oh. I mean,
shoot,
yeah.
I'll go to Division II. I'll go play at Valdosta State.
Yep.
So I also saw like the Raiders. The Raiders had two players, a running backs coach, and like the president of football operations all retire within 2 weeks before camp started. So does that give you something that there's something happening in the desert?
Man, I mean, it could be. They could have people waiting in the wings, and that may be. I mean, that's kind of weird to do that right at that time, though, right? I mean, if you're going to do something like that, that should happen right at the off season.
For sure.
It doesn't. I won't say. I think we'd have to wait and see. You know what I mean? But it doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You hope that's by design, but that's a by design. That's kind of poor. You want to do that way before you, unless these guys worked hard on this particular draft and they wanted to work through the draft. But then you ask yourself, you had OTAs and mini camps to hit the road. Why you wait till now?
But you remember that it was either last year or the year before, the Raiders fired all their scouts. I think it was either right when Mayock came in or right before Mayock. To me, and I'm looking at it, and I've been to a handful of training camp there. Some way, somehow, the Raiders inside out always figure out a way to screw it up, whether it be coaching, whether it be Gruden influence, whether it be from the top down. Like, there's always something inside the organization where they figure out how to screw it up.
Yep. I don't know how you make Mike Mayock look not like Mike Mayock. Like, I just don't understand that. And that the only other thing I can think of is there's some influence from Gruden. I can't prove that, but it sure enough seems like it because, I mean, time and time again that I've been to the Senior Bowl, been able to listen to this guy talk about different, talent out there on the field that come in and play in this game, and you miss more often than you hit. Like, how is that? This guy hit on a lot of people coming out when he was an analyst, looking at these guys coming up and being able to see them, especially at the Senior Bowl, picking out gym after gym after gym. And he's there at the Senior Bowl. He's right there in the booth with the rest of us. So, he was missing on big time talent just in that game. We ain't talking about all the other games and across the, college football, but just in that game alone, there's tons of talent there that they just aren't hitting on. And so what is that? That's kind of smells bad. Only thing they did hit on is the time that Gruden coached in that game. They got a couple guys that was on his team that have worked out, and they were good, talented players. But overall, their draft is kind of stunk.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, it's typical Raider football. You think they're going to draft somebody, and then you look at who's got the fastest 40 time. You go back to Darius Hayward-Bay. Like, Darius Hayward-Bay couldn't catch any when he played for the Colts. It was the worst time of my life. Like, that dude could be wide open. Darius Hayward-Bay.
Didn't they pay him some absurd amount of money to come play?
No, it was only like a 1 or 2 year deal. The guy
it was
that
like 2 years, like $18 million or something stupid.
something stupid that I would never pay DHB for, but DHB reminded me a lot of, now there was, and D, you would know this name, Pierre Garçon. Pierre Garçon he could make the ridiculous whatever catch, but the most simple routes drops. He was like 75% drop all the time, Division III guy. But if you needed like some rowdy, crazy flip over catch, one-handed catch, he has it. But he was and he went to try to go get more money, which was great. Like we said, it's a business, but dude could not consistently catch at all.
No, you needed a third and a dime, and he dropped that dime every time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I ain't making no excuses for Kirk Cousins, but I mean, there's plenty of times where Pierre be open. I mean, open. Just all you have to do is just catch it. I mean, it's easy stuff, and he's just putting it on the dirt every time. Every time.
It hit him right in a bad spot, right in the hands.
Yeah, right in the hands. Right in the hands.
Right in the gloves. Man.
Oh, Neil, what are you looking at?
Like, if it was 20 feet over his head, he would have caught it. But man, right in the gloves.
Neil, like when we're looking at the NFL, coming up, kind of like what are you looking at? Either with the Rams or just preseason football. Like, is there anything that comes out to you?
I mean, I as far as the Rams go, like Cam Akers was a huge blow. I mean, if Cam Akers is playing, that team is got a chance. He's got a chance to beat Tampa Bay, and it's got a chance to make it because the defense is there, the offense is there. They got weapons. They got a tight end. They have a good O-line. It's just they needed that security blanket and a running back, which they haven't had since a healthy Todd Gurley, and now it's gone. So I'm less optimistic about the season, but I mean I do appreciate having Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
but I mean I think honestly probably the most interesting story is, do the Cardinals end up actually succeeding and being the team that they probably should be? Because there's a lot of talent on that team, and they should be a lot better.
There's two teams that I can think of that are dark horses to the season that I am very excited to see what is going to happen. And D, I want to get your opinion on this. And the NFC, obviously the Cardinals. So much talent. What can Kyler do with it? What can the defense do? Now they have the problem with Chandler Jones and the contract situation and all that. The other one, AFC, the Browns.
Yes.
Tell me, what are your thoughts on these two teams? They're dark horses. They got talent. They should succeed, shouldn't they?
They should, but I think for the Browns, it's could be contingent on quarterback play, consistent quarterback play, and they have to run the ball as well as they did last year. I think the defense is there. I don't think that's a problem, but they're going to have to put points on the board. They're going to have to, they've shown us that they can move the ball in between the 20s, but as soon as they get in the red zone, there's a problem. There's a disconnect. They need to have that shot to be able to get the ball and get 7 and stop kicking 3. When you look at the Cardinals, I mean, they've got every chance. And you talk about the mobility of Kyler Murray. You've got the running game. You got the weapons. It's just a matter of the defense delivering. I thought the two divisions that are going to be pretty interesting, especially the NFC West. I mean, every team has something to bring. I mean, even the 49ers, I mean, you really don't know what you're going to get in the Seahawks. Seattle's probably the only one that you can say, but all 4 of those teams, that's going to be a log jam to get in the playoffs.
It's going to be a bloodbath to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, just in that division. I think the best and the toughest division in the AFC. I think it's both. Honestly, I was thinking both Western divisions are tough. Chargers, if you get good quarterback play, it's going to be fun. The Raiders, this new stadium being able to be filled, will they get good quarterback play? If they can do that, they have the talent. It's not like they don't have talent. Denver, it's a matter of quarterback play. If they find that right nucleus, they've got everything else that they can at least be able to compete. Then you got the Chiefs there, obviously, but it's going to be those two divisions are heck. That's a log jam of who's going to not only win the division, but it puts a hurting on everybody else because you could probably, in both of those divisions, you could probably pick at least two that you know could possibly make the playoffs right out the gate in both of those divisions. Easy.
Oh, 100%. You got you realistically in the NFC West have 4 teams who could be playoffs without doubt. Like if the Niners have mediocre quarterback play, they are probably going to be a playoff team just because they're so deep and talented everywhere. And then out in the AFC, like you said, like you got good quarterbacks out there other than Denver, but Denver probably has the best defense by far in the NFL.
You just need competency at the quarterback position.
You got to have someone out there with like 3 brain cells out there at least throwing a football, and you probably have a chance at making it.
I do like the AFC North, but I don't trust Zach Taylor. Okay, let's be honest. I seen that guy up close and personal. John Gruden had the same amount of time to prepare Senior Bowl players, and I'm telling you, when you talk about a night and day difference, when you can notice a night and day difference with players, those boys were playing, and they looked like football players. Zach Thomas looked like he was having an all-star game. They couldn't get nothing going, and their practices just didn't look the same. He doesn't look – when you speak to him, he doesn't feel like you're talking to a head coach. It feels like you're talking to a position guy. You know what I mean?
Which where he came from. He was QB coach.
Right. He doesn't have that command the room, I'm the guy running the show type of deal. I just don't see that being the guy. They have some talent, but not enough. I think it's between the Ravens and the Browns, and I think the Browns are more prepared on paper to be the division leader over the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a question mark. I really do. I don't think there's no shoe-in for them. I think they're the division. They have the division to win, actually. Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. They're consistent, but I mean they got their butts handed to them several times last season. They had some changes, but they're not like they don't scare you defensively. I think the Browns have the ability to win a division, but we just never know what you're gonna get from Cleveland. We just hope that you can get something consistent.
Is Odell still a threat for them?
How can he not be? And the talk from camp is the guy looks, I mean, he looks physically in shape and ready to go. Like he looks good. The question is though, can he stay healthy? I mean, it's been the question since he left New York, even in New York. You know what I mean? You need him there for the whole season. But I think they got a plethora of receivers that they don't have to rely on him to be that guy all the time, the big playmaker. They have playmakers, and they can use their backs out of the backfield to be a part of that offense and create, mismatches in the passing game. So it opens things up. It's just gonna be on quarterback just doing his job and not like having these brain farts.
Yeah,
like doesn't know how to read a defense and make the right decisions and go through the progressions.
Nick Chubb got paid.
Dump truck paid.
Well,
he got a dump truck too. He can move that.
Good thing they got Austin Hooper last year, right? In free agency.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So you got
3 good tight ends too.
Njoku, Hooper, and who's the
Harrison Bryant?
Bryant, Jarvis. So they're stocked with talent. Like you said, D. Like it falls on the quarterback position. Baker's going to have to be the one to lead it. Is he the locker room leader? Absolutely. Is he the mental leader? Yes. But can he do it on the field consistently? Yep. Congrats. You won a playoff game and you beat the Steelers. But what? With the Steelers 1-4 down the stretch at the end of the season, Big Ben falling apart, get ready for Dewey Haskins to take over. Show it to me for the rest of for the entire season. I think the Browns are America's team, and America wants to see the Browns win.
I think so.
I do.
That's
for sure.
So still thinking about coaching. Is Robert Saleh the guy to turn around the Jets?
It's to be determined.
because it can't be Zach Wilson by himself. We saw that with Sam Darnold. You have, to me, he has nobody around him, offense or defense.
You got Jamison Crowder.
I think he's trying to find excuses right now.
Well, you got the kid, Jamison Crowder. Let me think of last year's class. Like, they ain't got nothing, man.
Couldn't get the job done.
So, we'll see. I mean, I like him as a head coach, but
we'll see long term. I just don't know. I just don't know. It's hard to say because ownership has done such a poor job. And that's another team that was right in position to be able to consistently make the playoffs. And then y'all make some real poor decisions on hiring. And then you want to blame everybody else for the stink and the stench that's in New York in the Jets organization. Now starts at the top. And they've made bad decisions.
Do you know much about Robert Saleh as a coach outside of him kind of being a rah-rah defensive guy?
Not much, and not that I know of. I mean, like you said, good defensive guy. Seems like the guys buy into him. Has good leadership ability, but outside of that, nothing that proves that he's going to be successful as a head coach.
Yeah, I tell you what, that it seemed like everybody on that 49ers defense loved playing for him and gave 120% effort on that field. So
that'll be a help.
Yeah, I don't know. He seemed like he could be a good fit. Just the Jets organization.
So D, dive in for me. The Washington football team. You got Chase Young. Let me know what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're following. Is the Washington football team, are they on the rise? Are they someone to be looked out for this year?
I think so. My only question is, right now, the offensive line hasn't been as well as you would like for them to be. They haven't been very consistent. Sam, I think it's Cosme. He's done an excellent job in coming in, and he's looked good in camp. Diami Brown, dude is balling, man. He really looks like when I talked about Terry McLaurin at the Senior Bowl, that's who he reminds me of coming in his rookie year. I think he could really give them some offense and help take these double teams off of Terry. I do think that, both quarterbacks haven't really nobody has outshined each other. Let's just say, I mean, Fitz is Fitz. Fitz never looks good in practice either. So it's really hard to judge Fitz because he's never looked good in practice.
Well, that's because you usually got to find him from underneath the overpass and then say, hey,
throw him out there.
Go brush your teeth with that bottle of Everclear and come to practice.
But I think they have an opportunity. I really do. That defense, the way that they can just really line up different combinations in that front seven. They now have a back half that I believe that can be formidable with Cam Curl back there. I think that's going to be a huge deal for them in that safety position. That's been the thing that's really been the Achilles heel for the defense is that safety position. I think you got two guys and some guys you can rotate that are going to get that job done. But it's all really, to me, stems who's going to take the reins at quarterback and how well are they going to play. I mean, you know what you're getting from Fitz. There's going to be the ill-advised interception here or there. But in this division, I think they deserve the right to say, hey, they're the front runners of this division. And with what they've done through the draft and free agency, I think they've put themselves in a nice position to be able to do that. Now, quarterback is going to be the thing. We talk about it all the time with a lot of teams, but I think it's a lot of teams in that position, but they can overcome this just from the simple fact they have a guy that Fitz has lit it up in the last couple of years in the places that he's been. He's obviously not your future, but he's a nice little stopgap until you're ready to either wait for a quarterback that's going to come on free agency, which I don't know if I'm a fan of, or you're going to draft one. So you just have to figure out what that's going to be. But Heineke deserves an opportunity. It's a quarterback competition, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, this defense is something. It's something. They got a lot of talent.
So one guy that I thought, when I think of the defense and, turn this back into card collecting, one guy who was drafted really high a couple years ago that I kind of fell off and hasn't got probably the recognition he deserves is Montez Sweat. Like, what are you seeing from him? Like, I don't see him. He was, projected almost like a Chase Young, but not as athletic or freakish like Chase Young. But Montez Sweat, like when he went to the combine, was a freaking monster.
Yes.
Like I was begging for the Colts to do it. And then it's kind of like, you don't hear from him. You don't see, he's not, he obviously didn't win defensive rookie of the year, but he kind of like fell off the radar, like, but he makes plays.
Yeah. He's a quiet assassin. I think he's one that's benefited from Chase Young actually being drafted last year. That tandem was really good. He made a lot of plays on defense. He just grinds, you know what I mean? And it's kind of hard because you have so many playmakers on that defense, and then you add another middle linebacker in the draft who's freakish fast, can cover. You got Jonathan Allen up front, you got Deron Payne up front, you got just slipped my mind here. Matt Ioannidis as well. I mean, it's so many players that he just, for whatever reason, is not being talked about. But to me, I think if you look at his play last year, you can tell he was coming on. That's when the light bulb really turned on for him. And I think this year, with the linebackers they got, it's going to be a lot of eating going on that defense. They're gonna terrorize people, and I really am looking forward to seeing what combinations they throw out there at teams, because I thought too much they put Sweat in the same spot. You knew where he was going to line up. You don't do that with those type of players, those dynamic players. You got to move them around, keep the offense guessing, and exploit them. And I thought they didn't do that enough in his first year.
Yeah. So last question, we'll start to get out on this. Super Bowl prediction.
Woo-hoo! Oh, that's early.
It's very early. Who is your super hot take Super Bowl? I'm not saying champion. Who is, if you had to bet, because we're about betting on this show also. If you had to put money down, two teams, who's going there?
NFC, I'm going Tampa Bay. I think the GOAT is going to prove something again. Bringing it's the first time I believe we've ever had the entire team come back.
Never.
So, I mean, the chemistry is already there. They know what's at stake. The GOAT, we know how he reacts. I'm going with Tampa Bay on that one. AFC, man, this one's tough.
And Casey runs it back, maybe?
I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills come out.
Hey, I like that Josh Allen guy.
No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
I'm saying that Bills Nation, Bills Mafia gets their butts back in the Super Bowl. And that's going to be fun. Josh Allen, that dude balls. I like the way he plays. I hope that his play continues to be smart to where he doesn't take unnecessary hits. But that boy balls out. And I think if anybody can do it, they can do that. That's my pick right there. And I stick to it.
Oh, I'm going to sneak this one in. Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott. Who would you rather have?
I'm taking Dak all day.
Thank you. I tell him and Dylan, they are on the Sam Darnold train, and they are borderline idiots for thinking Dak Prescott is not better than Sam Darnold.
But it ain't. Yeah, no way. I'm taking Dak twice on Sunday.
Yeah,
but when Sam Darnold puts 50 on the Jets week 1, and I sell that card for triple of what I bought it, I'll be a Sam Darnold fan all day.
I ain't going. I would too if I could turn something like that around. Yeah, I would be too.
So D, let them know. Tell them where they can find you on social. Tell them about your podcast. Tell them about your Ghost Cast. Just let them know where they can find you out there.
Well, you can find me at Not Bland 21 on everything. Mainly respond Instagram and Twitter. You can find the Ghostcast, the Not Bland show. It's on Ghostcast. You can look up the cool Ghostcast card that Ryan did for that. Amazing stuff over there at Ghostcast. If you're looking to find your voice, then that's the place to be. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. And you can also find me on The Breakdown. That's on all podcasting platforms. It's myself and Karita Parks. We go into a lot of NBA, Washington football team, Saints stuff, NFL, some hot topics. We touch on a little bit of everything over there. I would even drop the NHRA card also on Ghostcast as well. A lot of fun stuff. Love talking all sports, and I love talking shop with the fans. So, I welcome the follows.
Yeah, we appreciate you being on. It's always great. I'm sure we'll have you on more times throughout the season, talk football, because that's our number one thing around here.
Yes, sir.
Right.
For me and Neil, thank you, everybody, for listening, tuning in to the Dream 3 podcast, seeing everybody, do some comments, chime in, like, share, subscribe. We'll start doing some giveaways here soon. Make sure to follow our sponsors, Graded Card Solutions, Slab Savers, protectyourslab.com. Find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Let's talk about some NFL. Let's talk about cards. I don't care if you're right or wrong, but let's just have some fun, man.
A lot of wrong.
Yes,
A lot of wrong. I mean, we're Hot Take Nation over here. Hot Take Nation. So until next Monday, man, we will see you guys later. We are out.
Peace.